Welcome. Welcome to this edition of Chai Chai's exclusive tea club. This is spring 2022. We have a wonderful selection of teas to present and talk about. The idea here is to present these teas, give you some information, and give you a space to answer, to ask questions in the questions in the comments, or leave your comments below, and I'll answer them. Hope you find this interesting, and if you do, know that you can sign up to receive the summer selection. So the idea of these selections is these are teas that we don't have available at our tea house or on our website. Sometimes these teas do become available later on, but for the most part, these are rare teas that we select for you club members. So the first tea I'd like to show you is the one I'm going to be drinking right now. It's this 100 gram little Bulangshan wild trees tea cake. So I have this one that's open. I'll just show you kind of what the leaves are like. You can see it's a nice amount of buds as well as some bigger leaves. So I think the first thing that I should explain a little bit is the fact that, so what is Shangpur? Like many people know pur and they know more the fermented kind. The Shangpur, this is the original pur, the Shangpur or raw pur. It's the unfermented green pur. So it's actually the older version. Goes back probably thousands of years that Aboriginals have been making tea in this way, and where the leaves are undergo a slow fermentation over time. So there's water that's trapped in here, like when it's pressed, and in the areas where it's traditionally aged, we're talking about a high humidity. So the humidity and the keeps working on the leaves and on all the microbes that are on the leaves that we know are so beneficial for our health. So pur is known to be very healthy for our gut, especially, and those microbes need a nice amount of humidity to keep their colonies active and thriving. So so in a country like Spain, where we have Spain's actually has many. In a place like Barcelona, maybe we can age Shangpur more or less well. You know, you need at least 60 or 70% humidity in your home or the place where you store pur. And some place in Spain, you can do that. If your house is too dry, then maybe it's not a good idea, because eventually the colonies will die and the tea will not continue evolving. So just brew some. So this tea comes from Bulangshan, and it's wild leaves. And Bulangshan is actually one of the very famous tea mountains. Part of its fame is because of its quality, of course, and part of it is also because it's very easy to get to. You know, some of these tea mountains are very remote, and Bulangshan is not one of those. It's just 3 hours away from Mumbai. Mumbai being the capital where tea is, the pur tea is traded the most, and we see here, maybe you can see the color is a nice golden yellow. So this, for those of you who know pur, it's the fermented kind, the show pur or cooked pur. Right, this is the raw, what's considered raw pur, Shangpur. So the cooked pur is can have similar raw material, but it will be wet piled, usually for 45 to 60 days, and very quickly fermented. So the idea with this tea is you can it can continue fermenting slowly, 20, 30, 40, 50 or more years, and constantly be improving. Now you can also drink it fresh like I am right now, and you'll have it's a very green. It's almost like a green tea, but stronger and with more punch, especially more bitterness than a normal green tea. The bitterness is good. Tea is a bitter plant, and the bitterness will be good for the tea's aging potential. Now, if you don't like bitter tea, that's okay. You can always brew it with less with water that's not as hot. So instead of using boiling water, 100-degree water, you can use 90-degree water, or even 85 if you want. The tea will be much sweeter, much lighter. That said, Shangpur is great because it's great for many ways, many reasons for me. But I love Shangpur. But even when it is bitter at first, it will become sweeter. So the bitterness is more apparent in the first steepings, and as you drink it more and more, you notice that it becomes sweeter and sweeter. I mean, with each steeping, not within a cup. With each steeping, the tea loses some bitterness and gains sweetness, and finally, it's just sweet. As the tea ages more, it loses bitterness. So Shangpur in Chinese medicine is very yin. It's very cold. It's one of the reasons why I don't share this type of tea normally in other seasons, but only in spring and summer, because it's the best time to drink it. It's very cooling. So if your body is very yin, then you don't want to make it more yin by adding cold elements, generally speaking, and so that's why really the only time it's really recommended is for people who are very young. Maybe they can have it all year round, but otherwise in the summer and the spring, that coldness can be pretty good. We actually feel refreshed within a session of drinking this type of tea. On a hot day, you will feel cool. You will feel that it dissipates heat. You'll find notes like tobacco, honey, maybe straw. It has a nice thick steeping, a thick texture, body, and a very long aftertaste. Then you know the raw material is really good. So we're really happy with this, and hope that you love it too. And we hope that you get into Shangpur, because actually in Europe, for example, the pour that people know is the Shangpur, the fermented kind, because that's the kind that first came in the 70s when it was developed. The Shangpur has actually only been commercially being sold since the 70s. And so that's the tea that came to Europe. That's the pour that people were discovering and knowing about its health properties, and not this kind. So actually at the tea house, I'd say Shangpur is probably the category of tea that's least known. At least in Spain, it's the least known. And it's actually it's kind of like the starting point for tea in that it comes from Yunnan, it comes from the birthplace of tea. It's the tea the Aboriginals have been making for thousands of years, and it's the least known tea. So and when I said before that the raw material for show is basically they have the same raw material, it's yes and no. The raw material that usually goes into show will not be this kind of grade material. So in China, the kind of pour that's most revered and the one that has the most prestige and most valuable economically is going to be the Shangpur, because in the Shangpur they will use old trees, wild trees. The best material will go for Shangpur. The best material will go be destined for a fermentation that's long, and not for the quick wet pilot, unless it's a small private production of somebody who just really wants to take the best material or excellent material and make Shangpur because they love Shangpur. But Shopor, as I said, is a new thing, relatively new. I mean, we're talking about 50 years now. And while Shopor does evolve over the years and becomes more mild and loses some of that fermentation flavor, the evolution of Shangpur goes from that gold color to a very dark orange, orangish brown over time, especially with the right wet, humid conditions. So, yeah, I really hope that that you discover more about Shangpur and that you like it and you drink it now in the spring. Today's already a summer day here, in the spring, in the summer. Okay. The next tea I want to show you is this one. So this kind of just looks like fall leaves, right? I put them in a bowl like this. Usually I drink this tea in a bowl, not with so many leaves, yeah, but in a bowl kind of like this, or like a chawan, or something, or a bowl tea. It could also be smaller than this, and like just a regular bowl. But the leaves, they kind of, it's just a very natural appearance. So you're probably correct, most of you, when you're trying to guess what kind of tea this is. Yeah, you're probably right. I think most of you know that this is a white tea. You know that because it's not rolled. It has this very dry, natural state. And so it's really the only tea that's not rolled is white tea. So this is a white tea. And it's a Gaba tea. So by now you probably realize that I love Gaba tea. I love Gaba tea so much. Gaba, for those of you who don't know, is an amino acid that we have receptors for in our body, GABA receptors, and it's great it's great for many things. You should really read up on GABA and all its potential. Different people focus on different aspects of it. Some people love the GABA for the attention that it gives. Other people love GABA for muscle recovery after exercise, and other people love GABA for the deep relaxation that it gives you if you drink it at the end of the day. And these are not mutually exclusive. So, like me, you can love GABA for all of these reasons, and including its flavor. So Gaba tea, GABA is present in tea leaves, but it gets lost in the oxidation process. So in Japan, they discovered that if you produce a tea in an anaerobic environment without oxygen, you can keep the GABA, and there's a bunch of therapeutic teas in Japan. There's a lot of science studies in the tea science stations in Japan where they're trying to create teas that have benefits for the body. And one of these is GABA. So this is a white GABA, meaning GABA produces white tea. Now in Japan, what they first started doing was green tea GABA. And then in Taiwan, they learned from that original master who developed the technique, and they applied it to oolong tea. And now they're making other types of tea. There's Hongcha, we've shared already in the club, Hongcha GABA, and here's a white tea, and it's lovely. It's made with the same varietal that's used to make tea Kuan Yin in Taiwan. It's from Taiwan. The Yingzi Hong Jin varietal, which is tough stem, red heart would be the translation. It comes from near Taipei in Ximen. And well, you could brew it any way. I just have I love to brew as bowl tea at the end of the day. I find that I have a really, really deep night's sleep when I drink Gaba, and also sometimes I like to have it after a workout, knowing that it really helps recover. So yeah, I think you will love this discovery. You probably have started to love Gaba by now as well, especially if you've been in the club for a while, because we've shared so many of them, and then I've never had one like this. So this is the first time I fell in love with it right away, and said, okay, I'm gonna get this for the club, and I have quite a bit of it. I went all in on this tea. So if you want more, there's more, and otherwise, if you're not in the tea club, this is the type of tea that further down the road we'll have it available at the tea house, at least for a little while. Okay. The third tea I want to show you says. You also probably know what it is, if you can see it well. It's a oolong tea. It's rolled in balls. It's a oolong tea from Taiwan. It's what's called Gaoshan cha, which means a high elevation tea. Sometimes Gaoshan cha is just labeled as such, and in Taiwan, and you don't know what mountain it's from. This is from Qingding, which is one of the highest elevation tea growing areas in the central, north central part of Taiwan. A really beautiful remote mountains that I really recommend. If you go to Taiwan, you really should visit. And it's a semi-wild tea. It's a semi-wild tea from a Wu Yi varietal. So it's so first of all, semi-wild means that it's growing currently. It's growing wild, but it hasn't been growing wild long enough to say that, wow, this is really wild tea. It's still in a semi-plantation. Like, it was a plantation. It's just a plantation that's been left to go wild, meaning no irrigation, and there's no agrochemicals or pesticides or anything. And so over time, the what was a plantation and a monocrop, different vegetation grows around it, and therefore it's a more diverse species of insects and aromas too from different plants, and it's lovely. And the Wu Yi aspect is this is a varietal that they call Wu Yi, meaning that they know it came from Wu Yi originally, but it's not. They don't know what it is. In fact, it's probably a mix of different varietals. Different varietals, or as we know, tea is grown from seed. So they're quite possibly different varietals, different plants. It is not like a single cultivar in this place. And that tea is interesting. It's low oxidation. So again, that's something for me that's very spring, very green and springy. But it's not that floral, that really bright floral kind, which is nice too. It's just not. This time I went this route, which is so all oolong tea has a roast, a final roast at least, to dry it, and in this case, the roast is it's not that it's present, but it takes away, and being high elevation tea also, it's not that floral perfume kind. It's more grainy, like cereal grains, and it's sweet. So it's something kind of in the middle, meaning you've already tried many oolong teas that are more roasted, traditional oolong with a traditional roast. This has just a little bit of roast, and yeah, you'll notice that that really honey flavor, and nuts and grains, and it comes from Joy Mountain, Hehuanshan, which is lovely. That tea you can brew Kung Fu, or you can brew it in Shiboridashi. If you brew it at like 95 or 95, it'll be more floral and sweet, a little bit more than if you turn up the water all the way. But it handles really well the 100 degree water. At 100 degree, you'll find it more warming and more thick, and with more nuances in the flavor. Personally, I prefer this tea at 100 rather than trying to make it softer or more floral and sweeter. This particular one. Okay. Here's number 4, and this is the final tea of the basic subscription. So we have 2 subscriptions. The first subscription is 75 euros. Every 3 months you receive the selection for 75 euros, and then we have a bonus selection. We have a bonus of 150 club subscription, and in that one we have more of the same teas and then an additional tea. So this is the last of the 4 teas in the basic subscription, and then over here I'll get to the bonus tea. But I'm loving this tea, and I just want to brew it again. It's not easy for me to do these kind of live videos like this. Drinking tea helps me relax and stay on point and stay concentrated. So that's the main reason why I love brewing tea so much while talking. To me, that's teas. There are many reasons to drink tea, including flavor. But for me, it's ability to keep one present and concentrated, and that's the reason why I drink tea the most. So this tea, you may be able to recognize it right away what it is, or maybe not. It could either be oolong tea or it could be a Chinese red tea, probably. And it's a Chinese red tea. It's Qigong. So Qigong is from Wuyi. Wuyi is the original place for oolong. Wuyi, we just spoke about the Wuyi varietal. So Wuyi is in Fujian, and it's the people from Wuyi who predominantly left mainland China and went to Taiwan, escaping the Cultural Revolution, and they brought with them their tea and their tea drinking and their tea culture and expertise and plants. And the reason why Fujian is right across from Taiwan, so it's just the most obvious place that those people could embark on the trip to Taiwan and try to escape the Cultural Revolution. So Qigong is really nice. It's some people consider it like Lapsang Souchong, it's the same tea, but just not smoked. And I think there's some truth in that, but it's also a little bit misleading, because often what we find is Lapsang Souchong is really ordinary tea that's been heavily smoked. But in Wuyi, in the park, those leaves can be either made to make nice oolong, or you can make nice red tea. And this one is fantastic. It has this name, peach fragrance. So it's a Qigong with peach fragrance, but it's not aromatized tea, obviously. I say obviously because I wouldn't share something like that. It's not aromatized. But the mastery in the oxidation process helped bring out this floral. It's peach. You definitely notice peach, and I also tend to notice like some kind of like fruity, like cherry later. It's fantastic. I really recommend that tea. Kung Fu. Very short steepings and many steepings, and just on a side note, they say that this tea, this is the type of tea that they say that was brought originally stolen by Robert Fortune and brought to India. So in that time when the British wanted to start growing tea and not buy from China anymore, and Robert Fortune snuck out tea plants from Wuyi, they say that when he snuck out was this varietal. And I want to say a lot of good it did him, because it's impossible to have a tea this fine in India, just because their terroir is so different. I'm not really knocking the tea from India as much as that sounds, but the terroirs are so different. Even the best tea from India, which right now is arriving, the Darjeeling teas, the first flush Darjeeling teas, they're great, and their aroma is also some. You can't get that tea from China, vice versa. But the silkiness, the smoothness, the elegance of the tea in China and red tea or Hongcha from China, you just can't do that. I think it can be done. I don't think it's just a matter of skill. Although who knows? Maybe one day we'll see that it was always just a matter of skill. I don't know. For now, I tend to believe it's a matter of terroir. And so the final tea. This is the one that was in the bonus selection. That's oolong tea from Wuyi. It's Zhongyan, so it's from the inner park. So that's what we're looking for with Wuyi tea, because tea can be from Wuyi, but if it's not from the inner park, it's not the rocky Yancha, the rocky terroir. It's outside those mountains and in the plains that are around, and still can be considered Wuyi. So this varietal, they say, comes from Julongke, which is the original bat cave that they say that the Da Hong Pao comes from originally. And its name is Jade Qilin. So it's the Qilin is this mystical animal, this creature, a mythological creature that it's part scaly dragon. It has carp whiskers. It has horse hooves. It has a deer antler. It's a mix, and but it's a very benign creature in their symbolism and in their legends. And they say it's so benign and kind and gentle that it does not tread even a blade of grass out of worry that it would trample or harm that blade of grass. So it's about as benign as you can get, and also as rare. And so this varietal, they gave it that name, the Jade Qilin. It's a rare varietal. I think it's clear to see why they give it that name. And you're gonna love this tea. It's very so like all yancha. Yeah, you notice the rock flavor, the yanyun, the minerals from those volcanic rocks, and but It was well roasted, and to not hide the varietal, you'll find then all the floral notes that come out afterwards. After, let's say, the first two steepings, where you notice a little bit more, you notice more of the roast in the first couple steepings. But as the roast wears out, you start noticing then all the floral notes, the fruity notes, the complexity. And I think especially that's where you find the quality in the yancha. All the complexity of notes that come in subsequent steepings.